Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today in person and online. My name is Mavis Bates, and I would like to bring to order the Energy and Environmental Committee for today, April 22nd. Happy Earth Day. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen.
Allen present. Good morning.
Good morning.
Caius.
Caius present.
Molina.
Lena present.
Strathman.
Strathman present, and good morning to our good happy birthday to our mother.
You love your mother.
Woznicki.
Present.
Bates.
Present. Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 11th?
Woznicki moves.
Nikki moves.
Allen
and
seconds.
Alan seconds. Any discussion, comments, corrections? Please call the roll.
Allen.
Allen, aye. Great minutes.
Caius.
Well, I wasn't there, but I re-listened to him. So yes, I think that's appropriate. Yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes.
Strathman.
Strathman, yes.
Woznicki.
Yes.
Bates.
Bates, yes, thank you. Is there any public comment in the room? Seeing none. Online, in writing? Okay, then let us go on. So our star performer for the day is Claire Ryan with our recycling and solid waste report.
Point of order.
Mr. Chair. Did I say something? Our other star performer for the day.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to steal any thunder from Claire. In light of the gasoline spill out in Lily Lake, I just wanted to take a minute this morning to ensure that the committee is aware of where illicit discharges fall under Kane County jurisdiction. And so it is under the Environment and Energy Committee here that we do all of our work under the IEPA's NPDES MS4 program. And I will just go through some general information about that program to help the understanding of how this relates to what occurred out in Lily Lake and where the county's position in regards to that is. So the county is actually issued a MS4 permit. It is a permit that we're required to maintain to operate our municipal separate storm sewer system. And so this would include any kind of drainage pipes and manholes in Kane County Division of Transportation rights of way, any kind of culverts and ditches that run along those roadways as well. We do have a 5-year permit cycle under this program. So every 5 years, we have to update our program. And we do require annual reports that are submitted to the IEPA at the end of May. So just specifically talking about that permit requirement, there are specifically 6 minimum control measures that the county is required to meet. And you will see these control measures throughout the year as specifically Ivy and Rob Linke of our staff bring those forward for approvals. One of those items is the stream gauges we've talked about that are funded by the riverboat. That is part of our permit program, as well as sensible salting and education related to clean water and its discharges into our streams. We also did the signage that are along all of our creeks. And we do the Clean Water for Kane campaign where we go out and educate residents on not dumping in storm sewers, doing etching next to storm sewers to ensure that people aren't dumping things that shouldn't be in there in our storm sewer system. So specifically, if we talk about the third control measure, that is the illicit discharge measure under our permit. The county does have a stormwater management plan. That is not the stormwater ordinance. It's a different plan. It's found on our website if you want more information about that. And that goes into details of our permit program. So as part of that illicit discharge, we are required to implement a program to detect illicit connections. And we also are required under that item to create a stormwater map. This was a significant tool that was used in the Lily Lake spill. So the IEPA and the spill response contractor could determine if the leak went off-site, where that would go to. So the maps were critical in this response that was made. We also require to be reporting any of these releases to the IEPA. So once we have all of our data put together, we will be making a report under our MS4 permit of this release. And we're also required to provide an annual evaluation of illicit discharge detection and elimination and goals for the following year. So specifically for Lily Lake and the spill, we did downstream testing to ensure that the spill did not reach any of our MS4 facilities. As we go forward, the Village of Lily Lake is providing up-to-date information on their website as press releases regarding the spill. The next point of concern is a 45-day review report that will be completed by the spill contractor. As we move forward and we've ensured that there's been no release into our MS4, which we've confirmed with testing, our biggest participation in the spill itself will be the restoration of the wetlands to the south of where the spill occurred. That wetland area is not a jurisdictional area. That means that it does not fall under the Army Corps of Engineers jurisdiction. It falls under Kane County jurisdiction as an isolated wetland. And under our stormwater permit, there's been an impact to that wetland. And so the spill contractor will need to be working with our staff on permit documents to restore that wetland area. And that was it. Any questions?
Any questions? Online, any questions? Thank you very much. Ms.
When is
Walner.
the 45-day, Ms. Caius, when is the 45-day?
We have they have approximately 27 more days before that report would be due. And then the IEPA has 120 days from the time they receive it to review the report and provide comments.
Thank you very much for that update on the situation, because we definitely need to keep an eye on that, right? So,
In moving forward, as we hit these milestones, this will be the committee that any of those items are reported back to.
okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Ms. Walnick? Okay, thanks. Now, Ms. Ryan.
I should be sitting over there.
So the first thing I have for you today are two resolutions. They are essentially twin resolutions, so you feel like you're getting double vision. But so these are related to our household hazardous waste program. Just a brief refresher, as folks may remember, this is the home pickup program, and it was primarily started to improve access for a safe household hazardous waste disposal to residents of the northern 6 townships in Kane County, who arguably have the least physical access to the Naperville drop-off location, which is usable by any state resident, but it's far, it's far from like Hampton. So we started this program, and as we've been doing it, other municipalities have become interested, including Geneva and Batavia. And so these resolutions essentially renew Geneva and Batavia's participation in the program. There are a few changes. We just changed our service provider for this program. It went to RFP last year. And unfortunately, well, it's just kind of a sign of the times, but with the change in provider, the cost structure of the program changed a little bit as well. Probably not a surprise to anyone. It got more expensive. Geneva and Batavia are both buying into the program. And at least I expect this year, City of Geneva will essentially, it'll just be passed through, like all the funding they put in, they'll get out as service through the program. It is highly used in Geneva, a little bit less so in Batavia. the only real difference between the two resolutions is that Batavia has historically requested to limit the program use for some non-hazardous materials that are sometimes considered universal waste. So for example, they don't want household batteries in their program, or motor oil, or what was the other one? Latex paint, because there are other avenues of disposal for those that cost a lot less. So those are the resolutions.
So there are two resolutions here,
Yes.
correct? Then I think we should vote on each one separately, correct? Okay, so for the first motion, the first resolution, can you go back up? Please, okay, so for the first resolution, may I have a motion?
Caius move.
Caius?
Woniki seconds.
Any discussion?
Caius, could you explain the funding and the matching, or the way it, just pick one of them? And I was a little confused. There's just $73,000 something in there, and then there's for 77.
Sure. So for the northern townships, we have funding through Riverboat to support that. It is, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it is in the range of about $75,000. And the cost of the program at this time is $165 per pickup. So the amount of funding we have through Riverboat fully supports the Northern Six Townships use of the program. However, we couldn't just add Batavia and Geneva for that. So what they're doing is paying in respectively $20,000 and $25,000 to cover their residents' use of the program. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have a first and we have a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Woznicki,
Yes.
Bates.
Eight, yes. Thank you. May I have a motion and a second for the second resolution?
Allen
Yes.
moves.
Alan moves,
Caius,
Strathman,
second.
second.
Strathman seconds. Any discussion? We're good now? We're good? Please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Woznicki, Bates.
Bates, yes. Thank you.
Now comes the really fun part. So next up is my essentially an annual presentation of the recycling program, where I get to talk about all the amazing work that happened under this program in calendar 2021. And it's an interesting position to be in, because it's not really my work that I'm presenting, but it's still it's amazing work, and I'm very proud of it, even though I didn't do it. So there we go. And let me just make sure this, am I pointing over here? Okay. So this is probably the most in-depth presentation I'll be giving this year. So a little outline. We'll talk just about the program, everything it contains, just a review. We'll look at a lot of facts and figures related to our curbside recycling and waste diversion, waste generation, with a lot of data. It's fun. Then we'll look at some events coming up, opportunities to volunteer. That should say 2022 events. Sorry about that. Talk a little bit about our ordinance and enforcement efforts under that. A few kind of special one-off things that happened last year. Our continual outreach efforts, more data there, including Kane County Connects, of course. our networks and how we work with others across the state, and then just some kind of miscellaneous, again, I should say 2022 updates. So what is the Kane County recycling program? And it turns out it's a lot more than just, bottles and paper in the right bin. We also work on household hazardous waste collection. We just passed 2 resolutions related to that. We have now center-based take back, or not take back, but drop-off programs for multiple materials, including electronics, books, clothes and textiles, aerosols, bulk paper and cardboard. We shred confidential documents for free for residents of Kane County. We have our annual extravaganza. We sell compost bins. And we run internal programs, including a pretty significant effort to collect all batteries that are used in the course of Kane County business. And we also contract for the curbside trash collection and recycling that occurs in the Mill Creek Special Service area. So that's programs, but we also, besides, do a lot of education and outreach. We publish an annual, or for the most part, annual green guide booklets, which folks find very helpful. We create and maintain an information-rich website. We contribute weekly to Kane County Connects, and we're also a de facto recycling question hotline. My phone rings a lot, especially in April. I've had a lot of requests as well to go out and talk to folks for Earth Month events. So it's been great. And finally, other things that we do include hauler licensing and data collection from the haulers that service Kane County. We enforce the ordinance and educate on it primarily as well. And we work with others around the state to improve the state of solid waste management. So we're going to dive right into some data. So what we're always trying to do, I think, in solid waste programs is improve our diversion rate. And that's the ultimate sign of how much material people are generating that is not going into a landfill or an incinerator. And so this year, the ultimate number is 37% across the entire county. So 37% of waste material generated did not go into a landfill or incinerator. And that's based on hauler tonnage reports. They came from the 5 haulers. We have more than 5 haulers in the county, but only 5 that actually have municipal contracts. And it reflects close to 170,000 households in those contract areas. The municipal diversion rates range quite a lot, from a low of about 19% and a high of 46%. I'm not going to name names, but you tend to see lower diversion rates in rural areas. I think there might just be a different culture around waste and disposal in those areas, which might present some different tax towards education for those areas. And then you tend to get more up in the 46% in the Tri-Cities area. So interestingly, no municipality in Kane County is quite reaching the national recycling goal, which was published just last year by the US EPA. And that goal is a diversion rate of 50% by 2030. But some are pretty close, which is great. Overall, Kane County produced 60,500 tons of paper and containers collected by recycling trucks serving the county. That's down a bit, but not a lot. It's probably not really even a significant change from 2020. So that's recycling. Yard waste, big jump there. 30,352 tons, up from 24,000 tons of yard waste, and sometimes food scraps were mulched or composted. Now, I would love to say that huge jump is all because of use of ride-along compost programs, which are relatively new in the county. Unfortunately, I don't have data to support that. There's a lot of things that could influence how much yard waste is generated for example, if there were strong windstorms last year, which I'm pretty sure there were, that those tornado type things rolled through, you can end up with a lot more downed trees and brush in people's yards that influence those numbers too. But I'm fairly confident in saying those food scrap collection programs have something to do with it. And I'm really excited to have those and help promote and educate around them in the county. And then kind of the bad news. So 170,486 tons of garbage was sent to landfills, and that's up as well from about 166,000 tons in 2020. So if we were loading all of this material into train cars on a freight train, the diversion train would be 162.5 miles long. That's up a little bit from 2020 and up quite a lot from 2019. So I think it does show a positive train in diversion at least. But the trash train would be over 300 miles long, again, up a little bit from 2020 and up quite a lot from 2019.
So how can they both be up? There's just more stuff going on.
More stuff, I think, you know, there's a lot of development in the county. So this is gross numbers, not like per person. I do have per person numbers, and they're probably, if they're not on this slide, they're on the next one. They're on this one, aren't they? Yeah. So the total Kane County residential discard, so that's everything, trash and recycling, was 1.45 tons per household per year, which breaks down to just under 8 pounds per household per day, and then 2.6 pounds per person per day. And getting it down to that per person number helps us compare with like state and national numbers. So they don't crunch these numbers every single year. The last time they did was 2018, but the national average in 2018 was just under 5 pounds of trash and recycling generated per person per day. So we're, hovering around half of the national average. So that's not terrible. Landfill trash alone, that's 1 ton per household per year, or 5.5 pounds per household per day, and just under 2 pounds per person per day. The national average in 2018 again was 3.3 pounds per person per day, and the Illinois average was 6.5 pounds per person per day. So I don't know what other folks in Illinois are doing, but they're throwing out a lot of stuff. So we're way under that state average, and quite a bit under the national average too. So people in Kane County do want to do the right thing, and for the most part, they are doing the right thing. There's always room for improvement, but I don't know. I see good things there, despite still talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds of trash. But to accommodate all this, we have to have the infrastructure to do so. Waste management is just one of the haulers and waste managers in this area. And they are investing in the infrastructure, as are their competitors. Their new MRF of the future, MRF is Material Recovery Facility, is designed to process 22,000 tons of material per month of mixed recyclables. That's a 40-mile train going to that facility every month.
Is that our MRF? It's in Chicago.
It's one of them. LRS has a major waste management, I don't believe, is in Chicago. So that one is just opening. That new one is just opening. The one they take our material to is no, actually it might be. I get confused because I don't know all the neighborhoods and like town names near Chicago. But
you were Barb, Miss Monique, Monique. You arranged for a field trip one time. You arranged for a field trip for this committee once to an MRF, I heard.
Not for an MRF. We had a field trip to what's our recycling that we partner with?
Lakeshore?
eWorks.
eWorks.
There we
Oh,
go. We
eWorks.
went to
Oh, interesting.
eWorks,
Okay.
yeah, and that was very enlightening and
Maybe we could do that again.
that would be cool to do that again, yeah.
Yeah, I think either or, we could probably get into LRS because we contract with them for for Mill Creek. And we could do eWorks again if folks are interested. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I keep forgetting I have my remote here. So let's talk about specifically data coming from the county and what we've successfully diverted. And the answer there is 512 tons of material total were either refurbished, reused, or recycled through county programs. And that's way up from 2020. I mean, so 2020 was probably a weird year. I think, we had maybe an event canceled, and I know the collection sites were shut down for at least a month. So maybe it's not the best basis of comparison, but bottom line, we did a lot of material in 2021. Electronics was a big jump, and we served through our centers and events 12,255 residents or drop-offs occurred. We did books as well, close to 30 tons of books. Those are heavy materials. Most of it ended up being recycled or pulped. However, we were able to divert 2 tons of books for reuse. Textiles is a new item. So I don't have a comparison number there, but over 35 tons of textiles were sorted at eWorks facility for resale or shredding for use as insulation. Latex paint, close to 19 tons of that taken to our events from 439 residents who dropped off paint. Another big jump there. I think in 2020, a lot of people went through all their stuff while they were locked indoors and maybe sorted it and got ready to get rid of it. And a lot of it actually came in 2021. Aerosols are another new item. We collected 650 pounds of those. That equals over 1,000 cans of aerosol items. So the cans got recycled through a special process, but also the material in them, because they're often not fully empty, is managed in compliance with RCRA. Whereas if you just threw it in the garbage can, that would be a problem. And then the document shredding. We shredded 53.3 tons of paper documents for people. And I think that actually might be a 2020 number, because we had to cancel our shredding events last year, didn't we? Or no, I'm getting confused. We canceled in 2020 because of the pandemic. And last year we did 53.3 tons, which is way up from 2019. And the reason it's way up is because we didn't have any in 2020. So there we go. Yeah.
What are the bikes for? The picture of the bike.
So the bikes, we do take bikes for repair, mostly for repair at the extravaganza. That's the only event we do bikes at. I don't have a number for those from last year. I can look for one if folks want it. Just FYI on the electronics program, this is the amount of material coming in and the number of residents served over time. We did see a dip in both in 2020, again, because the centers were closed for a while. People were just staying home and not so excited about going out. But in 2021, we're kind of back where we were in 2019 before the pandemic. So not huge trends there. Talk a little bit about hazardous waste through our home collection program in Naperville, and one-off event. We got rid of almost 88 tons of household hazardous waste responsibly. So, and that is broken down where the sources were. 43,000 pounds came from the northern townships and Batavia and Geneva, who are in on that program. 73,000 pounds were delivered to Naperville from Kane County residents. Close to 2,500 residents of Kane County dropped off there. Unsurprisingly, it does tend to be the folks that live closest to Naperville doing that. And then we had a single event that we kind of co-hosted and co-sponsored with City of Aurora. And that one event brought close to 60,000 pounds of material in. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a couple slides. So just some more interesting numbers. The curbside pickup program does tend to have a little bit more efficiency per event. So that is to say that when people use that program, they contribute more material per pickup than they would typically bring to Naperville in one go. And I mean, that's good because the pickups are expensive. So the average is 50 pounds collected per pickup, at least over the last 3 years. Naperville efficiency is about 30 pounds each drop off over the last 3 years as well. And let's see. Yeah, there was a big spike in 2020 of that curbside pickup, the number of users, probably again, because people did not want to leave their houses. Recycling events are so much fun. Going through Jen's pictures, it was clear, she really enjoyed these, even though they're a ton of work. And I'm looking forward to my first one on May 14th. Oh boy. There are opportunities certainly for folks to volunteer. I put out the call for volunteers a few weeks ago. I have an online form now, but folks can always just email me to sign up as well. The poster is up on our website. Please do share it. If you're able, please do volunteer as well. I certainly appreciate it. Volunteer your friends and family, as long as they actually show up. Just kidding. Talk just briefly about the recycling ordinance enforcement. Of course, the ordinance basically states that waste haulers that contract with commercial entities have to provide those entities both with a waste receptacle and a recycling receptacle. Even if the person calls and they just want a garbage dumpster, that they have to take the recycling dumpster as well. And that hasn't always been the case. So you do definitely still see commercial entities that only have trash. The ordinance at the moment is enforced on a complaint basis. In 2021, there were 6 complaints, 3 from apartment complexes, 2 from small businesses, 1 that actually reported itself. I'm not sure if it was itself or they were basically telling on their landlord, and 1 church that reported itself. Jennifer was working with all these folks, and I'm kind of still tying up the loose ends of where they are. I have sent 1 resolution letter to one of those apartment complexes because I went and visited, and they did indeed have a new recycling container. So it was great. But over the course of her work, Jennifer, has worked with businesses, shopping centers, apartments, housing complex, retirement villages, mobile homes, schools, and churches to help them understand the ordinance, why it's important, and ultimately got them into compliance. And I hope to do the same. Some special partner programs. I already mentioned this one. So we worked with both IEPA and City of Aurora and DuPage County for that close to 60,000 pound event for household hazardous waste. We also year-round recycle dumped electronics. So what happens with this is that essentially any municipality or municipal agency in the county can bring dumped electronics to their closest Kane County recycling facility, and the fee is waived. It usually amounts to dozens of items per year, and up to thousands of dollars in waived fees on the TVs and monitors. Those are the most commonly dumped items because people don't want to pay the fees. And they're big, so people don't want to just hold on to them forever either.
So may I ask a question? So this would mean somebody finds a TV on a ditch or something?
Yes, but we only take them that way through municipalities like road, township road commissioners will bring them, the forest preserve district, the park districts, any of those are fine. But like if someone just drives up and say, hey, I found this on the side of the road, you're like, okay. I guess we tell them to take it to their municipal Department of Public Works.
Back, otherwise you're gonna pay $35, right?
Yeah.
Darn.
We also in 2021 had a tire collection event. This was a special program for tires dumped on public land and rights of way. This is another item you have to pay to recycle, so people do dump them. And in 2021, we collected 1,600 tires. Interestingly, 50% came from one town. I suspect there was like an open dump or like a hoarder situation thing going on where there were just like piles and piles of tires that came into our event. So that's great that we were able to clean that up. Public service presentations, website newsletters. There are thousands of people served through public responses, including phone inquiries and emails. Jen told me about it, and it so far has borne out. We kind of are the hotline in the county for all questions recycling. And it's been a really great way to learn because I'm new to a lot of this. So, to answer people's questions, I got to look them up and then I remember for next time. It's been good. Jennifer did probably more than 3 presentations. She got a little loose about, documenting it, but I know for sure she did 3 public presentations last year, despite continuing pandemic restrictions. 2 of them were recorded and posted on YouTube and have more than 500, post event watches. She did at least 3 interviews, published 49 articles in Kane County Connects, and continued with press releases in local papers to announce our events and program changes. The Kane County Recycles web pages remain highly visible and well used. IT is always telling me, because my email address is all over there, I'm at one of the highest risks in the county of getting spam email. I don't open it. So our homepage had 13,300 something unique views, which is way up from the past. And I've done a little work already to try and make the homepage a little bit more enticing and user friendly. So hope to boost that even more. The recycling centers page had close to 41,000 unique views. Again, that's way up from the historic number as well. Recycling events had 23,000 something. That's a new one for whatever reason, wasn't recorded before. The A to Z list is very popular as well. And then the household hazardous waste home collection program had 26,000 and change unique views. That one went down quite a lot. And again, I think it was just, there was this huge boom in 2020 of people looking for services that they could get at while they were stuck at home. And it lessened a little bit in 2021. We have a constant contact email list. I don't use it all that frequently. It's really just to distribute the green guide at the moment, but it has over 5,500 subscribers. That's up from 4,000 in 2020 and actually double what it was in 2019. So, people are interested in keeping track of what we're doing, and we don't spam them all the time. So that probably helps. The amazing Kane County Connects has 32,000 subscribers total. As I mentioned, Jen did almost 50 recycling articles last year, and over 100,000 people clicked and read something about recycling in 2021. Just for fun, the top 5 articles alone were read 19,500 times. And they were the announcement of the recycling center in Aurora. Sadly, that didn't bear out to actual visitorship, but that's okay. Recycling updates. The first confidential shredding document announcement. Confidential document shredding announcement. There we go. Recycling tips and kind of getting the most out of the extravaganza. So I see, most interest in our centers and our events, which is really great. And I'm wrapping up here. So what do we do beyond the county limits? We work to maintain a solid network of connections with my counterparts, essentially, in other counties and other agencies. Jennifer was the board chairperson of the Illinois Food Scrap Coalition in 2021. I am in that group and I'm learning a ton. I did not take the leadership position though, because I wouldn't know what I was doing, and I've got enough on my plate, I think. Jennifer was a board member and a secretary of the Illinois Counties and City Solid Waste Management Association, or ILCSBA. And I participate there as well. She was on 2 state committees, the Illinois Task Force for Recycling Contamination Solutions. I thought that one had ended. It hasn't ended. It just meets infrequently. And I actually met with those folks this week. So they're still having about biannual meetings. And then the Illinois Sustainable Materials Management Advisory Committee. That one submitted a detailed report to the General Assembly on the state of material management and, some directions and recommendations in July of last year. And that's a really great read. Illinois Recycling Foundation and Association of Foundation, we're a member of the National Solid Waste Association, the Illinois Product Stewardship Council, and the Great Lakes Circular Economy Partnership, which is just really getting off the ground. So very busy. Just miscellaneous other news. We've had the expansion of recycling locations in the county, the Aurora Center, we've gone through in this committee the changes to the Aurora Center, but we do still recycle in Aurora on a weekly basis. Elburn, there's a center in Elburn that's operated by LRS. We don't do any work for it other than advertise its existence, but we got to count it towards our SARA requirement, which is great. So this does affect the number of recycling events we do. For every center we have, we can kind of eliminate 4 events where we would collect electronics. So, just over time, the number of events we're doing per year has gone down, and we're focusing more on shredding. I would expect that to be the case next year too, but we're going through budgeting now, and I'll have to think about it a little bit more. We do the compost bins and barrel sale. It's still going on right now. I'll be working with Ivy at Leroy Oaks Forest Preserve on Cinco de Mayo to hand those out to folks that ordered them. I'm looking forward to that. And we did a webinar all about composting and rain barrels and how to conserve more at home. The video is actually not coming soon. It is now available, and I posted the link on the recycling page homepage. And of course, there was a transition in staffing at the end of 2021. And I'll just say I've loved my experience here so far, and yeah, good things in the future, I think. So I've gone on really long. I feel like my jaw hurts. So
there was a lot to talk about.
yeah.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah.
Ms. Wolnick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good presentation, Claire.
Thank you.
Put a lot of work into it. Something I was thinking about, we're getting more and more grocery stores, up at the north end and the south end. And so do we work with them for the food scraps? I'm thinking more of produce that they can't sell anymore.
So I haven't worked directly with grocery stores yet. I think a lot of them have, especially like the major chains have internal programs already to, not so much for food scrap composting, but more for like food diversion and food rescue, they call it, you know, to folks that don't have access to food. So I think most grocery stores are already doing that. I'm hoping to get something started with a hospital on food scrap diversion and food, I guess, wasted food diversion to, I think probably Sherman and Elgin is the most likely candidate just because Advocate has already taken up the mantle of sustainability in a more evident way than some of the other major medical providers in the region. So I've already started a few conversations about that, but that's where I'm at. Yeah.
What about the jail? Food scrapping at the jail.
The jail.
Ooh.
I think I received a question about that recently.
That is a good question. I am not aware of any food scrap diversion happening at the jail, but
On the bright side, they're going to get a compost bin. And so
Yeah.
there might be a great opportunity for that.
yeah, they are getting a compost bin for the garden. That's part of the diversion program. I doubt they're planning to compost everything coming out of the kitchen, but that would be a conversation with our hauler. So I can talk a little bit.
Or
towards
maybe
the
with
end.
our sheriff.
And the sheriff, right? Yeah, and the kitchen staff ultimately are the ones
They're
that have
going
to play along.
They're
So.
gonna have a compost bin at the jail for food scraps?
Out of the program on Cinco de Mayo, one of the compost bins is going to their diversion program where they do the gardening out there.
JJC or?
No, the jail.
Yeah.
There's a garden at the jail? A vegetable garden? I was thinking we should have one of those. We already do.
So they put the jail garden program in a couple of years ago, and it's in the women's pod. And it's had huge success because a lot of the women have never tasted a homegrown tomato and even known anything. So it's part of to get the women outside, to give them something, you know, to look forward to, because there's not many programs for the women. And also it gives them something when they go back home to carry on to their family. So it's been very successful.
Nice,
Yeah.
good. Any other questions, Mr. Caius?
Caius, I just had on the Constant Contact, which is our regular newsletter, they're mostly self-subscribed. Do we have a big push on to keep those subscribing, improve growth?
So the Constant Contact work mostly happens around the Green Guide. And I like distribution of the Green Guide. I just started when that was going on. So I was kind of I was mostly focused on trying to get those paper ones out of the mail room. But we do, you know, especially in February, I was fielding a lot of calls like, oh, this is great. You know, how do I get them in the future? And that's, you know, I think they are mostly self-added, but I also have a list of folks as well that I can add to that, but I haven't done a big push on it yet.
Okay, any other questions?
Madam Chair, just one more thought. I know we're shooting a lot of questions too.
Oh, that's okay.
But another thought was Northern Illinois Food Bank. I don't think they always distribute all the food that's sitting in the warehouse. That might be another one to talk to as far as food scraps.
Okay, yeah.
And they're local. They're located in Geneva, so that'd be a good one.
Well, if that's all the questions we have, I do want to say congratulations to you on coming on board so quickly. And congratulations on this incredible solution you came up with in Aurora to move the recycling event up onto Route 31 into the Ace Hardware parking lot where 20,000 people probably go past on well, I don't know, I'm making numbers up, but So has that worked a little bit better for?
Yeah. So that was a real team effort between Jeff Stagg at eWorks, Marvin Keeling at Vet Tech, and me. And yeah, it's working out much better because their overhead to do that on Saturdays is so much lower than it was to have the center Monday through Friday. And the amount of material they bring in is almost the same. So, Jeff is real happy about that. And it makes it viable now, whereas before it just wasn't viable.
That's 9 to 12.
9 to 1. Yeah, every Saturday.
Write that down.
Yep.
I have one more question. Caps on or caps off?
Caps on.
Caps on. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it changed or something. So
It did.
caps
I
on,
used to always think it was off too.
because it's a different kind of plastic, right? But caps on. Got
Yeah.
it from the
It's-
expert.
This is from Jennifer, really. But she was like, there's 0 chance it's going to be recycled if it goes in alone. And, leaving it on gives it a fighting chance. So.
Caps on.
Caps
Please
on.
put that in minutes. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Ivy Clee.
Good morning, committee members. I have 2 presentations for you today. The first one is going to be an update on the Judicial Center solar project, just some timeline updates, and then some updated savings numbers. So we are actually, the stormwater permit has been issued and completed. We are still wrapping up some engineering and racking designs with the contracted engineers. It's coming up soon. We're planning to mobilize in the month of May. We're working with our project team to get out there as soon as possible. Delivery of transformers, inverters, and modules is also coming up soon, as well as applying for the building permit. So we have some updated numbers on savings in some slides later on in the presentation, but we still have yet to confirm with Progressive Business Solutions and GRNE Solar on what the final savings numbers are going to look like. So that's coming up as well, and we'll be sure to give everyone a report on that once we have those numbers. Timeline. So we're planning to begin ground moving in May. Grading changes will be complete around May and June. We have some trees coming from Chicago Region Trees Initiative from a grant that we applied for. And those trees are actually going to be planted in June based on the grant timeline. And we're going to begin solar panel construction whenever our project engineer says we're able to do that. That'll be after the grading changes have been completed. And then we're going to plant the landscaping plan trees sometime in the fall, based on whenever our landscaping architect would suggest that we do that. So we're still working with our project engineer to get all of the pieces of this project up to speed as soon as possible. Another note, I've been in contact with the neighbors to inform them, and I will be in contact with them whenever there are going to be site activities going on, just so they're aware if they're going to be seeing workmen on site and addressing any concerns that come up right away. So some notes on savings. We've been talking with our project engineer, Jeremy, and he's had some good news for us. So there's been an increase in cost for materials as of lately. We've been informed by him that the project costs would have increased significantly if we had not signed the contract when we did. So I just wanted to point out some things that he's communicated to us. Transformers have increased 100% in the cost in the last 2 months. Racking and steel costs had a 15% increase in January, and then another 15% increase this month. Inverters have had a 10% increase in costs this month. The modules have increased 50 to 200%, and it's currently unknown how much those would cost for their new projects right now. We ended up ordering modules for 55 cents per watt, and that price is now around 80 cents per watt. And the modules are a 30% total cost in the project. Electrical gear has increased 25%. Piping, wiring has increased 25%. Trucking has increased 50%. Overseas shipping has a 20% increase in costs in the last 6 months. And then labor increases every year as the cost of living increases. So those are just some numbers. Along with those increase in costs, there have also been longer lead times for all the materials mentioned. So the modules were looking like 20 to 30 weeks for shipping costs. Now that's around 40 to 60 weeks. Racking was around 10 weeks. That's changed to 14 to 20 weeks. Electrical gear was 16 weeks in shipping costs or shipping timing. And then now that looks like 40 to 60 weeks. And the transformers have gone from 30 weeks to 50 weeks. So that has definitely impacted a lot of the projects that they're working on right now. Thankfully, we signed the contract in fall of last year. So that really allowed us to get our orders and procurement in prior to all these changes. So that's good news for us. And because we signed the contract in fall of 2021, we had our rates locked in before these significant increases. So we've been able to see maximum savings from the project and avoid delays that are now coming up. So the slide in the next one I've received from Progressive Business Solutions. Arnie provided us with these. These are just some updated numbers on savings. However, we do have yet to confirm the final savings numbers with GR&E. This is just some information based on the changes that have happened with CJA passing and the increase in cost in electric. So the estimated solar savings from spring of 2021 annually looked like around $198,000. And Progressive Business Solutions has now updated that number, revised it for spring of 2022 to look like $322,000 annually in savings. Why has that number gone up based on the estimates that we had last year? Because there are much higher wholesale power prices right now, which we'll talk about, and you'll see a graph on the next slide. There's been higher ComEd delivery costs, taxes, and other changes, and most of that increase has come from the passing of the Clean Energy Jobs Act. So you can see there's the type of electric spend and then the cost assumption per kilowatt hour in the table below. In 2021, the cost assumption for the electric supply expense was around 0.0465 cents per kilowatt. Now that's increased to 0.0582. And then the delivery and taxes and other charges has gone from 0.0235 in 2021 cents per kilowatt up to 0.0297. So gone up a little bit, and currently the solar contract is at 0.035 per kilowatt hour. That's what we pay. So that's the number in our contract. You can compare that with the cost assumptions for 2022 per kilowatt hour, 0.0884. So this is the graph of the wholesale power price, at least what Progressive Business Solutions has for their data. So you can see they pointed out when we signed, when Kane County signed the solar contract was right before October 1st of 2021, which is when you see that really big spike in Midwest pricing. So just some updates on that. Before I go on to the next presentation, does anyone have any questions?
So I guess this is a comment, but we were hoping to save $5 million with the
over the
estimated
25
saving.
year. Yeah.
Now with my math, which I did on paper, not on my computer, not on my phone, it looks like it'll be much more like $7 million savings over the next 25 years.
And
Way
these
to
are
go.
these are just estimates. So
Yes.
we'll be sure to give a presentation once we confirm, at least in the current point in time, what the savings look like.
And if those commercial electricity rates keep going up, our savings will keep going up because we have locked in 3.5 cents per kilowatt hour over the next 25
I would
years.
just note that we do have a energy purchase contract that is up in December that building management will be rebidding. And so we will lock in those prices for a period of time for our own energy use out at the Judicial Center. So we'll have a direct comparison once that contract is signed in December.
A black and white
Correct.
comparison. Okay, thank you. Okay, please go. Any other questions,
Madam Chair.
comments? Cheers.
Oh, yeah, good job. When you, just the definition of construction, we begin solar panel construction to be determined. Is that the assembly and putting in? That's
Yes,
the actual
yeah.
assembly we're actually
Mhm.
planning in. Okay,
Yeah.
That's all.
So I have another question. It says delivery of transformers, inverters, modules. When do we get the panels? Are the panels, the solar panels part of, it says begin solar panel construction to be determined.
They don't have a delivery date on those yet. It's estimated to be, I believe, last conversation in July, maybe. The delivery of the transformers, inverters, and modules is coming early. So they will be storing them on site at the Judicial Center. We worked out the location with the sheriff's office.
Okay, thank you for such a great job on this, Ivy, Jody. Okay,
Madam Chair,
yes, ma'am.
this is Strathman. I just want to
Yes.
say wonderful, wonderful for Kane County. And this is just shows all the good work that our staff did, and congratulations to us all.
Yay.
Oh, I also have one more slide. Just quickly, there's going to be a groundbreaking ceremony that we've talked about with our King County board members as well as the chairwoman's office. I'm going to be planning the details of the event. We're going to work with our PR staff to promote the event, but ideally we'd like to get board members and the chairwoman on site. We'll have some shovels. Hopefully we'll have some equipment in the background as well, just to publicize the project and the beginning of the construction of it. So everyone on the E&E committee is welcome to join. I will reach out with all of the details once I have those figured out with the chairwoman's office, the sheriff's department, and also our solar project team.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Madam Chair,
So-
question.
Yes.
Do we have a date for that yet?
Not yet. So we have our mobilization date is May 9th. So I think we're going to aim for somewhere around then. But I am still working with the chairwoman's office, sheriff's department, and also the solar team to make sure that we plan it around everyone's schedules.
Okay, thank you.
Once we have a date, I'll be sure to reach out to all of the committee members.
Thank you.
And just some quick sustainability updates for the month of April. Like Claire said, we have the Kane County Rain Barrel and Compost Bin program in full swing. This is a partnership between the Conservation Foundation and Kane County. We host an annual event where folks can order a rain barrel or compost bin online, and then there is a pickup event to avoid the home delivery fee. The pickup event is going to be May 5th from 2 to 6 p.m. at Creek Bend Nature Center. There's a pre-order link, and I've just included some costs for the rain barrels, composters that are available. There is a home delivery option available too. And then, like Claire said, we had an educational webinar on April 14th. So one other thing I wanted to touch on, there's going to be a climate action plan working group that we have started with Kane County Department of Environment staff as well as board members. So the purpose of this group was to create a collective working group that will adapt the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus Climate Action Plan document into a more detailed plan for Kane County municipalities. I believe we had Edith come present the climate action plan when that was first put out. And we would like to take that plan and adapt it for our own municipalities. The stakeholders involved in this group as of now are City of Elgin staff and commissioners, Kane County staff and board members, and City of Geneva mayor. So currently we're in the beginning stages of creating a task force for this initiative. We would like to identify who we will need to collaborate on the plan to ensure that the plan is feasible and realistic and makes an impact in the private and public sectors of Kane County communities. So this is a working group that we've just started. Currently, we're meeting on like a every 2-week schedule. If anyone is interested in participating, please feel free to reach out to me. We're meeting virtually as of right now, and we have some good ideas being passed around. So I will be sure to report back to the committee with any updates regarding the group. But this is an exciting initiative that we're currently undertaking. And I believe that's all I have for you today.
Ms. Miller?
Good morning and happy Earth Day. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the Outdoor Economy Conference with Janice Hill in Cherokee, North Carolina. And I'd like to share with you some information that I obtained that I think would be interesting to the committee, but also helpful on some of our projects. Whoop. Some data on outdoor participation during the pandemic. Participants were increasingly female, increasingly younger, increasingly ethnically diverse, increasingly urban, and increasingly of lower income households. Counties with outdoor recreation opportunities saw a decline in the rate of obesity. Greatest improvement in health were in the elderly and those with lower incomes. Recreation, after all, is less expensive than healthcare. Those counties were also more successful in attracting residents and businesses and tended to promote their views, as you can see in this photo of the Fox River, destination, and aesthetics. They also displayed community empowerment with quality of life and economic development. Counties with outdoor recreation opportunities should focus on environmental issues to protect their asset, social and visitor conflicts. We may have seen some of that during the pandemic where so many people wanted to get outside that some of the open spaces were crowded. Sometimes people didn't respect the open spaces. They left litter. In some instances, I know in the Cook County Forest Preserve, they were cutting trees down, things like that. So that's something that, communities need to keep in mind. And also provide economic resources to maintain the environment. There are a number of models to create sustainable outdoor tourism in communities. One of them includes what's called destination stewardship. And some of the aspects of that are to pool your common resources, such as get together with your municipalities, land managers, civic organizations, private companies, regulatory agencies, and service providers, and then connect the dots. Consider what your shared interests are and your shared outcomes. Create Destination Stewardship Council to develop a destination management and stewardship plan, a visitor management system, and a sustainable business program. Creating a sustainable outdoor tourism program, these are some of the policies to consider. Capture and reinvest your revenue that you obtain from your outdoor economy. Promote the right housing in the right places. One of the examples given was one community had so many Airbnbs that would increase their rental prices that affected their long-term rental. And so those that were permanent residents that were in long-term rental saw increases in their rents. And so you need to look at that. And this community actually limited the number of Airbnbs that were there for temporary use. Trails and trailheads should grow with the community. Keep an eye on what your use is so that you can keep things up to date. Plans should conserve ecologically important areas. Infrastructure expansions should be measured. So don't improve all of your trailheads in 1 year. You should do this over time. Fund programs and bring everyone to the table. Funding streams that were presented at the conference. The American Rescue Plan was a popular topic since this is something that we have in front of us now. Many local governments are using ARP to fund outdoor recreation and open space projects. One of the aspects of ARP that I learned is that you can transfer between local fiscal relief funds and state fiscal recovery funds. And these funds can be used to leverage other state grants. Also, ARP also talks about and encourages implementing what's called social determinants of health. That is conditions in the places where people live, learn, work, and play that affect a wide range of health and quality of life, risks, and outcomes. The pillars of social determinants of health include neighborhood and built environment, social and community, and economic stability. After leaving the conference, I felt that the Fabulous Fox Water Trail has made a good start in contributing to sustainable outdoor tourism in Kane County. We have established quite a few partnerships with a shared interest in the Fox River and shared outcomes, including improving our quality of life, enhancing visitor experience, safeguarding sense of place, and healthy environments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions, any comments? Any help you need from us? that
Oh,
you're not getting?
Pardon me?
Any help you need from us that you're not getting already?
I'll bring that to you when that comes up. Also, I want to mention that I will be giving a summary to Jobs Committee, but it will be more focused on economic development issues that I learned at the conference.
You know, we wanted pictures of the river, right? Mr. Caius, did you have a question?
No, not really. Some smart thing.
Oh, okay.
In the interest of time, let's move on.
Any new business?
Madam Chairman, Alan,
Miss Allen?
I just wanted, I don't know if this has already been said, but I just wanted to say thanks to Jody Walnick and Rob Linky, who are people with licenses on the wall. And when we had this catastrophe out in Lily Lake, those are the people that you turn to because, my God, what are you going to do when you have a perfect storm of tree cutting and garbage assembly and flooding and then an outpouring of fuels, all headed towards your wetlands that you're trying to protect. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to those people for leaping in there. And it's not only the knowledge that we look to them to bring, but there were a lot of entities and agencies involved in this. So there's also, the political stuff. How do you deal with people in such a way that they're willing to listen to you, that they don't just shut down when the local people show up and so on. So there were a lot of delicate bridges being crossed there. And I just wanted to say thank you for handling that all so well.
Thank you, Miss Allen. Yay to our wonderful staff. Any new business? Well, next comes the chair's comments. That's me. And because it's Earth Day and I am the chair, I get to say a few words. This is taken from what will be in Kane County Connects today or yesterday. Was it in yesterday? Yesterday. So this is a call to action. If we really, truly love our grandchildren or our children or somebody else's grandchildren, then we must take responsibility and begin to show our love for them through our actions. It is time for us to take care of the earth, because if we don't, the earth will no longer be able to take care of future generations or even our older selves. If we really truly love our grandchildren, we must do everything we can to protect the air from fossil fuel pollution in order to stop climate change. We must protect our endangered species and their habitat, protect our clean water and air, and make sure our food is safe, making our bodies strong and healthy. If we really, truly love our grandchildren, we will do these things willingly, happily, and joyfully. For some, the meaning of life is to leave the earth a better place for future generations. As the climate crisis increases, dangerous storms, heat waves, floods, and droughts are becoming more common. Catastrophes we do not want to leave to our children. Let us remember in all of our daily deliberations to show our love for our children and grandchildren through our love for our Mother Earth. May every day be Earth Day. May every month be Earth Month, and may every year be Earth Year. It's not too late to save the planet, but we better hurry up. Happy Earth Day.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
May I have a motion to place the reports on file? This one, Nikki.
Kaya, second.
Kaya seconds.
Alan?
Alan, I.
Caius?
Kayas, yes.
Molina, yes.
Strathman?
Strathman, yes.
Woznicki?
Yes.
Bates?
Bates, yes. I believe there is no need for executive session today. Is that correct? Are there any other comments, questions? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Kayas, move to adjourn.
Caius?
Strathman, seconds.
Strathman? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.